Hi! If you're anything like me, you probably watched a lot of Minecraft videos as a kid. The game was, and still is, everywhere on this platform, even if it's had its less active periods. I won't go in depth on the relationship between Minecraft and YouTube as many other significantly longer videos have done, but the two are, without a doubt, inextricably linked. This is important because, recently, I found myself revisiting that same old content I used to watch when I was younger and noticed something peculiar. On videos with automatically generated thumbnails, such as these ones, this weird contrast filter pops up. Generally, it seems to happen on thumbnails that are darker, as can be seen here with some comparisons to the actual frame in the video they're taken from. This effect was quite prominent. Seriously, you'd be hard-pressed to find a channel with videos from the time that didn't have this effect, so much so that it has even sort of subconsciously affected my perception of the game. I associate this color grading with old Minecraft, even if I know that's not how the game looked at that point. Of course, this isn't just restricted to Minecraft videos. It's the genre of video I noticed it on first, but it's on every thumbnail. Here it is on some Let's Plays of other games, and even some real-life videos. Having learned of this, I decided it would be cool to try and recreate it. I'm far from an expert in photo editing software, but I've done my fair share of recreations like a mostly accurate Minecraft door and netherrack texture in paint.net. However, none of my attempts yielded anything close to how this stupid filter looks. Logically, the next course of action is to attempt to look up information about what causes this effect to happen. And this is the weirdest part about this. Except for a few Reddit posts, some of which were made by me or my friends, there was no information about this online. Most people either haven't noticed or really just did not care to question why this weird little quirk happens. So that's why I'm making this video, to compile all the information I could find about this random little curiosity of mine. Be the change you want to see in the world or something. To preface this, I do want to say I will absolutely get details wrong in this video, especially when it comes to the more technical side of things. I'm not very adept when it comes to that, so please politely correct me in the comments if I make any mistakes. That being said, here's a rundown of all the info I could find about this silly little filter. First of all, it can happen to any video with an auto-generated thumbnail. I have not been able to find any cases of some kind of edited thumbnail with this filter on it, only ones that are a random frame from the video itself. This, along with many other factors, makes it very implausible that this is an intentional thing. I mentioned previously that it appears mostly on darker thumbnails, however this is not a perfect rule. Sometimes it feels as if the effect should be applied, while it is not, and vice versa. This leaves room for the possibility of this somehow being unintended and a consequence of some weird image processing on YouTube's side. While I do not have a concrete starting date for it, with my earliest example here being August 2010, the latest example I found was on August 1st, 2016, with this being episode 69 of Etho's Modded Minecraft. The later on you get, however, the less and less of these thumbnails there are. I mean, seriously, look at how prominent they were early on and compare that to the frequency in late 2015 to 2016. There are no announced YouTube updates I can find that have anything to do with auto-generated thumbnails from around that time period, but generally I've found barely any information regarding YouTube updates overall, so it is possible I just missed something. This is really about it when it comes to facts relating to this. Every time I've attempted to dig deeper for more, it feels like I come out knowing less than I did previously, and it's driving me nuts. There are, however, some theories that have been posited by both my friends and I, as well as from the little public discussion there was of this strange effect. These ideas range from basically debunked to quite plausible. Despite this, it's totally possible that none of them are actually right, but speculation is really all we can do here, so here's, once again, a list of the most common theories, roughly in order of how plausible they are. Frankly, the silliest suggestion I've seen is that that is just how Minecraft looked back then. Well, you might be quick to jump at this thought. A very small amount of research can disprove this idea. The game never had any sort of color grading, and its textures never looked that way, so this is verifiably not true. Another one suggested on Reddit is that the thumbnails are being edited to be more eye-catching, which, once again, could be a reasonable first assumption, especially looking through a modern lens. However, under more scrutiny, this begins to fall apart. Why only some thumbnails? Why are they just random frames from the videos with no further editing? How could they occur in the exact same way over many YouTubers, some of us speaking different languages? While it still may be possible that this was some kind of option when uploading videos back in the day, I highly doubt that, as no such thing is documented anywhere. This one's a bit more specific. If you've ever recorded a video with fraps, you might remember the result coming out kind of dark and high contrast, like these thumbnails do. In fact, this is one of my first ideas that came to mind when looking at the thumbnails. Maybe when videos recorded with fraps are uploaded to YouTube, they could have a similarly strange looking thumbnail due to tech mumbo jumbo. This could also explain the slow and gradual decline, as less and less people were using fraps around that time. However, this can be disproved by the fact that many YouTube channels that have videos with this effect on them did not record with fraps. Similarly, another related idea is that perhaps it has to do with the editing software rather than the recording software, many of which have a direct upload to YouTube button, which is where the error could occur. Just like the previous idea, the gradual disappearance of the effect could be simply from people changing the editing software that they use. While this is more likely, it definitely does not come from one specific program if that is the case, as multiple YouTubers have confirmed that they used different editing software at the time, if the videos were even being edited at all. In my opinion, the most likely theory is that this is simply some weirdly implemented auto level for auto-generated thumbnails in order to make sure that all of them are readable. While this doesn't explain the somewhat haphazard application of the effect, that could be chalked up to the system itself being faulty or poorly implemented. As for explaining how it's done, there are not as many theories on that, which is a shame as it's frankly the part I was most interested in. There is, however, one core idea. That is to do with color spaces. From what I understand, color spaces work almost as a sort of really big color palette for an image, with different ones having more or less colors as well as organizing said colors differently. An example of a color space is sRGB, or standard red, green, blue. This color space has 3 components: red, green, and blue, obviously, and these 3 values are composed to create the colors you see when viewing an image. What is important to this mystery is the fact that JPEG, the format that YouTube uses to store its thumbnails, uses the YCBCR color space, with the Y being the brightness or luma component, CB being blue difference, and CR being red difference. Analyzing the affected thumbnail images themselves, there are increased levels of cyan and red, which tracks with the red difference component. Regardless of if through technical issue or intention, it seems that whatever is causing this has something to do with the YCBCR color space. Unfortunately, that's about as far as my knowledge goes. None of the software I use can actually edit things in this color space, and even if they could, I have no idea what I'd do further, which is why I'm making this video. I've tried investigating this on my own, but I've reached a technical and intellectual dead end. Hopefully, however, through spreading this little mystery out to the wider internet, it'll find its way to somebody actually knowledgeable. Though, I suppose that depends on whether or not this is an actually entertaining mystery or not. That is why I ask, if you found this intriguing, please share it around or show some support. Even if I never figure out how to recreate this effect or find the cause of it, I'll at least know that I tried. Regardless, thank you all for your attention. I have no idea how to end videos, so bye bye!